Hey everybody, this is Brian with Bear Cards 34, back today with another show and tell video, this time for 1985 Topps NFL Football. This was a 396 card set, and it was right in between two very desirable sets. The 1984 Topps set, which has rookies of lots of Hall of Famers, including Dan Marino, John Elway, Eric Dickerson. It was a great set, still very popular. And then, of course, the 1986 set, which has NFL rookies of cards like Steve Young, but the big one, of course, being Jerry Rice, rookie card for the 86 Topps set. This one had a couple of notable big-name rookies that we'll get to today. Just wanted to kind of show off. Each team had a team card. This one right here, Sweetness, sets the record straight. This one was a kind of a tip to Walter Payton's NFL record for the most career rushing yards of all time, passing Jim Brown. Emmitt Smith later passed up Walter Payton, but this kind of highlights that occasion. Great card there. The set also had a few checklists. Again, back then, without the internet and things like that, these were helpful to kind of know which players were on the set and which ones you needed to still get or collect. And each pack contained a sticker card. So this right here is the Walter Payton sticker. These were kind of to highlight the 1985 yearbook. And the way you can tell these were from the football pack as opposed to the yearbook that was sold later was the coming soon advertisement on the back of those. Now, we do have one pack right here. I purchased this on eBay a little while back. This is a 1985 Topps football pack. So we're going to go ahead and open this at the end of the video. If you're not into the kind of the history of the cards and the players and all of that, and you're just more interested in seeing what I open, go ahead and skip to the end. I won't be offended. But for those of you who would like to follow me on the show and tell of this set, here we go. So along with sticker cards and team cards, they also have the record breaker cards. So of course right here we have the, I love this card, the record breaker Walter Payton, Chicago Bears, most rushing yards career. Another one that was really notable for that year was Eric Dickerson. He became the, with the 1984 season, he broke O.J. Simpson's record of yards for a season. O.J. Simpson had 2,003, and Eric Dickerson ended up getting 2,105. Now, O.J. did it back in a day where there were not 16 games, but both of those were just very historic seasons. So here's the Eric Dickerson card. This kind of gives us an idea of what to look for. The one thing that was notable about the 85 set was that it had a horizontal design. Along with that, the black borders made these very condition sensitive. So these are kind of, tough for grading. And if you look here at Dickerson's season, 2,100 yards and a 5.6 yard average. That's pretty remarkable, right? That's one of the best rushing seasons ever in the history of the game. Now, for those of you who follow my channel, I may have mentioned this guy before, James Brooks. He's one of my all-time favorite running backs. As a kid, I really liked watching him play. I really started following him during the Bengals Super Bowl season where they played the 49ers. He and Ickey Woods split time. And while Ickey was fun to watch the dances, I really thought James Brooks was the more enjoyable running back. This is a PSA 9, 1985 Topps. So I'm happy to have that in my collection. And then, of course, my guy, my all-time favorite player ever, Walter Payton, Sweetness. So this is his 85 card. This was highlighting the 1984 season. So this picture would have been taken, and the statistics on the back of the card would have represented the season that he passed Jim Brown for the all-time list. So this season is also notable for me as a Bears fan, just because this is the year that the year these cards came out is the year the Bears had their historic 1985 Super Bowl season. And here's a record breaker for Charlie Joyner for the most receptions in a career. And just to show you how the game has changed, the all-time record for receptions was at the time 657. And if you were to look at the all-time mark now, that's not even close. Then we also had a Dan Marino record breaker during his second season, most touchdown passes in a season. And for him, that was 48. Now look how much he blew away the old mark. The old mark was 36 touchdowns by George Blanda and Y.A. Tittle. He ended up going way above that with 48. Then we've got the Art Monk record breaker, one of my favorite receivers ever. Most receptions in a season, and at that time, he had 106, and that was the all-time record. Still impressive to get that even now. Right here, we see the championship game, 49ers-Bears. Bears were not yet ready. It took another year. 49ers pretty much cleaned them up, and it looks like half the defense is on Matsui there, which is probably symbolic of how that game went. And then right here, you have the championship for the Dolphins, 45 over the Steelers, 28. And then, of course, the Super Bowl right here. We have the 49ers 38, Dolphins 16. What was kind of interesting about this was Super Bowl 19. This was Marino versus Montana, two of the all-time greats. It was also the first Super Bowl where both quarterbacks threw for over 300 yards. And Joe Montana was the MVP of that one with 3 passing touchdowns. And then at the time, he also had a record. We don't really think of him as running, but he had 59 yards rushing and a touchdown on 5 carries. So that was pretty impressive as well. Along with that in the series, we also have leaders, statistical leaders. So this right here, Ozzie Newsome and Art Monk were the receiving leaders. And then the Super Bowl showdown, Marino and Montana as the passing leaders. Just to kind of show a little bit here, I'm going to just kind of highlight a handful of the Hall of Famers that are in this set. Just to kind of, you can kind of look at them as I speak here. But like I said, this is the highlighting the 84 season, but it is the 85 Topps set that came out. And for the 1985 season, the Defensive Player of the Year was Mike Singletary. Coach of the Year was Mike Ditka. The MVP of the entire season was actually Marcus Allen, who had a really great season in 1985. The Offensive Rookie of the Year was Eddie Brown. Defensive Rookie of the Year was Dwayne Bickett. Also, Jerry Rice, of course, had a great year. So while these were the cards that were out the year that those guys were rookies, they did not have cards for another year because Topps back then only produced cards the year after the season. So rookies had to wait a year, and some players didn't even have a card for the first 2 or 3 seasons. So rookie cards were not nearly as available as they are these days. All right, then we've got some of these great Hall of Famers. The year of 1985, when these cards came out, some of the popular movies back then were Back to the Future, The Breakfast Club, Silverado. My favorite movie as a kid, The Goonies. The top 3 TV shows at the time were The Cosby Show, Family Ties, and Murder, She Wrote. And the top song was Lionel Richie's Say You, Say Me. 1985 was also the year that Microsoft Windows 1.0 was released, and Iron Man himself, Robert Downey Jr., was a full-time cast member on Saturday Night Live. 1985 was the year the Royals won the World Series, and the Lakers were the NBA champs. Of course, Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl, as I mentioned there before. There's an Art Monk. And then right here is a John Riggins. So the Super Bowl itself, at the time, along with the quarterbacks throwing for 300 yards plus each, was also the most yardage in a Super Bowl of all time up to that point. It's been passed since then. But as you can see from this set, it's still relatively affordable. Packs are not cheap right now. Boxes are quite expensive, but you can get this set in relatively good condition for a pretty good price. Now, for me, this was a few years before I started collecting cards, And I only opened a handful of cards myself. A lot of these are just cards that I was able to get through trades from friends and my cousins who had a lot of these from this set. And so they're not all in like the most amazing condition. They're fine. Some are better than others. I'm kind of hoping that with that pack back there, maybe I can get a few cards that I might be able to replace or upgrade. So this right here is the card I'll start off with. This is one of the top rookies of this class. This is the Richard Dent 1985. This is a near mint 8. And Richard Dent was the Super Bowl 20 MVP that year. In that game, he had 1.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, and a blocked pass. So he was pretty great. 4-time All-Pro, 137.5 sacks, which when he retired, he had the 3rd most of all time. So great player there. Next up, we have Steve Mcmichael, nicknamed Mongoose. He's definitely a Bears favorite. He was drafted by the Patriots in 1980 and then cut after his first season and signed with the Bears as a free agent in 81. He's part of that historic defense of 85 that won the Super Bowl. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. He was also known as, for his wrestling. He was in the World Champion Wrestling. Mike Ditka said that Mcmichael was the toughest player he ever coached. And in his final season, he played his whole career other than the first one with the Patriots. He did play his final season with the Packers, and he has a quote that I absolutely love. A little bit of language warning, nothing too major, but a little bit. But here's what he said back in 2019. He said, "For 13 years, I helped the Bears beat the Packers every year. I whipped their ass right. So the last year, I went up there on my last leg, and I wasn't good anymore, so I stole their money and whipped their ass again." As a Bears fan, that's pretty awesome. I love that. Okay, right here we have Bill Bates. This is his rookie card. He was an undrafted player, but he ended up spending 15 years from 1983 to 1997 with the Cowboys. He went to the Pro Bowl in 1984, and in fact, he was the first player to receive the special teams roster that the NFL had started that year. He was part of 3 Super Bowl championships with the Cowboys. They were his favorite team growing up. And Tom Landry once said something to the effect of, if I had 11 players on the field who played as hard as Bill Bates, we'd have won pretty much every game. Here's a Henry Ellard rookie. He's one of the greats, and I still don't understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame. He played from 1983 to 98 for the Rams and the Redskins. His final year was with the Patriots. But he had 814 catches and over almost 14,000 receiving yards. He's a 2-time All-Pro. In 1988, he led the NFL in receiving yards. When he retired, he was 6th all-time, and all 5 of the players above him are all in the Hall of Fame. And he was also 3rd all-time in receiving yards, in between Steve Largent and James Lofton. So he's in great company, but he has not even had a vote, I believe. He's never even been a finalist for the Hall of Fame. Here's Carl Banks, rookie, 12-year pro, part of the All-Decade team of the 80s, 2-time Super Bowl champ, All-Pro in 87, and he's in the Giants Ring of Honor. A big part of that team with guys like Harry Carson and Lawrence Taylor. Joe Morris, rookie, he was a 10-year pro, went to two Pro Bowls, and in 1985 he was the rushing touchdown leader. He was part of the Super Bowl 21 championship. He's only 5'7", a little guy, and he's the older brother of former Redskins running back Jamie Morris. Here's Lionel Manuel, 2-time Super Bowl champion. In 1988, he had a 1,000-yard season, but injuries derailed his career, unfortunately. Here's a Wes Hopkins rookie card for the Eagles. 11-year career as a safety. Made the Pro Bowl in 85. Part of that gang green defense that was so great with Reggie White and a lot of other great players. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. He was only 57, had some poor health. This is a Keena Turner rookie card. He was a second-round draft pick by the Dolphins in 1980, but traded that day to the Niners, so he spent all 11 years with the 49ers. 4-time Super Bowl champ, went to the Pro Bowl after this 84 season here. And what's notable for him is he played in the Super Bowl against the Bengals in 82 with chicken pox. So that's kind of an interesting little thing. Here's Greg Bell. I really liked Greg Bell. I knew him on the Rams when I was a kid. But this is his rookie year. He had over 1,100 yards that season. First-round draft pick from Notre Dame, made the Pro Bowl that year. He had 1,000-yard years with the Bills and the Rams. And in 1988 and 89, back-to-back years, he was the NFL rushing touchdown leader. And he was the 1988 Comeback Player of the Year. Right here we've got Daryl Talley, part of those great 90s Bills teams that went to the Super Bowl 4 times. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler, All-Pro twice, part of the Bills Wall of Fame. Retired with over 1,200 career tackles. And he's the cousin of baseball legend Derek Jeter. That's kind of interesting. Right here we've got Don Rogers. This is a sad tale. He was so talented. This is one of those kind of what would have been or could have been. He was a first-round pick, All-American at UCLA, only played 2 years, and he died at age 33 of a heart attack caused by cocaine use. And he died the day before his wedding. He was the defensive rookie of the year after the '84 season here. Had great potential, and he passed away only about 8 days after Len Bias died of a similar thing. So that was kind of interesting. Very sad, but great player for that brief time. And then, of course, here's the rookie of the set, Warren Moon. Great player, 23 professional seasons. He started off in the CFL from 78 to 83, signed a big contract with the Oilers after that. He was a 5-time Grey Cup champion, and anyway, he ended up having a Pro Bowl NFL career as well. 9-time Pro Bowler, the 1990 Player of the Year, 89 Walter Payton Man of the Year, 2-time passing leader, just a great player. Along with Warren Moon, the other notable rookie quarterback of that class was Johnny Manziel. Just kidding. This, though, I just wanted to highlight. One of the things Topps did was to tribute some of the older cards. So they kind of paid homage to these. Now, what drives me nuts, though, is the set is made this way so that if you put them in, you can read the name, and then as you turn it over, if you have these in a binder, they match up. But for some reason, when Topps made these, you'll see, and I don't know why, I mean, it's no big deal, but it kind of drove me nuts. They have it upside down. So when you put these in a binder, they'll be upside down. So they did it right the first time, not so much the next time. And then Topps also did this with the 60th anniversary of Topps. They also did these commemorative cards. So those were kind of cool. Nice little throwback. Then we've got Hall of Famer Mike Moonshack. That's his rookie card. 12 years with the Oilers, 9-time Pro Bowler. His number 63 is retired by the Titans. And he was the Titans head coach for a few years, about a decade ago as well. He's the offensive line coach of the Broncos now. Here's Art Schlichter. Really bummer story for the Colts. I'm sure the Colts who were around back then know about this, but he was the number 4 pick of the draft in 1982 from Ohio State. But he had such severe gambling addictions that it cut his career short. He's had legal problems now for almost 5 decades. He only played in 13 games. He only had 6 starts. He did end up in the Arena League and was doing pretty well, but then forced out of that because of gambling as well. And I looked into him, and he's actually currently serving a 10-year sentence for theft related to gambling. So he's had over 20 felonies. He's just really struggled with that gambling addiction, unfortunately. And then another quarterback that would have been a really hot prospect at the time but kind of faded out was Todd Blackledge. He was the number 7 pick of the 83 draft. Yes, that classic 83 draft with all those quarterbacks. So, he was drafted ahead of Marino, ahead of Jim Kelly, even some of the others like Ken O'Brien. He's a college football broadcaster now. But anyway, he was the last first-round draft pick as a quarterback for the Chiefs until Patrick Mahomes. So they definitely got it right that time. Bill Moss, just real quick, 5th pick of the draft that year of 84. Played 10 years, 2-time All-Pro. Lyle Alzado. This is just kind of the Lyle Alzado I remember, was this big giant from the Raiders. Always liked that card a lot. And then here's a Mark Clayton rookie card. He was the an 8th round draft pick in 83, but a favorite target of Marino. Ended up with almost 9,000 yards. In 1984, he had 18 touchdown catches, which is even to this day the 3rd highest ever. And then right here is a Tony Easton rookie card. Tony started 49 games. He helped the Patriots get to the Super Bowl 20. However, in fact, he had 3 touchdowns versus Marino and the Dolphins to get to the Super Bowl. But once he got to the Bears defense that year, they just crushed him. He is the first quarterback in Super Bowl history to not complete a pass. He was sacked 3 times. He had a fumble. He was replaced by Steve Grogan. And in 2008, ESPN said that his performance was the worst performance in Super Bowl history. He is, however, the father of Jacob Eason, who's a new quarterback coming through the ranks these days. So we'll see how Jacob does. Hopefully he'll do well. Irvin Fryer, great player. got better with age, 17-year career, first overall pick in 84, five-time Pro Bowler. His first was in 85 and his last was in 97. He had 4 Pro Bowl trips after the age of 30, and he had almost 13,000 yards. A couple of records he holds. He has a touchdown from 19 different passers. He's the first person to record a touchdown in 17 consecutive seasons, and he's the oldest person to score 4 touchdowns in a game at 34 years and 22 days. Then we have a Craig James rookie card. He was a Pro Bowler in 1985 with over 1,200 yards. He was in the backfield with Eric Dickerson in college at SMU. He played in the USFL a little bit. In the Super Bowl, he only had 1 yard on 5 carries, but he did have a really good season that year in 1985. Not much afterwards, though. And then a really talented quarterback, a little underrated in my opinion, Ken O'Brien. Played 10 years with the Jets, one of those 83 draft class quarterbacks, and he went to 2 Pro Bowls, 85 and 91. In 1985, he was the NFL passer rating leader and also the AFC Player of the Year that season. Then we've got Lewis Lips. I know John Stallworth mentored him that rookie year. He had a great season. As an NFL rookie, he made the record for the most punt return yards in a season, and he also had over 800 yards receiving and 9 receiving touchdowns. He was the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year, made the Pro Bowl, and the year after that he ended up getting a 1,000-yard season too, so pretty impressive. Here's Mike Merriweather. Growing up, I always knew him on the Vikings, but he played for the Steelers and the Vikings. Starting in 1982, 3-time All-Pro. He sat out 88 with a contract dispute, which is why he was then traded to the Vikings. He's also the first player in NFL history to score a winning points in an overtime. He had a safety where he blocked a punt and it went out of the end zone. This right here is Ernest Jackson. The thing I thought was interesting about him, he did not have a very long career, only 6 years, but he played 2 years with the Chargers, 1 year with the Eagles, and then 3 years with the Steelers. He made a Pro Bowl with the Chargers. He ran for 1,000 yards his one season with the Eagles in 85. And then he also made a Pro Bowl with the Steelers. So in 6 years, he made 2 Pro Bowls and had 4,000 yards rushing, and then he was just gone. And I'm not sure why. Here's Lionel Little Train James. He had only a 5-year career, but in 1985, he set an NFL record for the most all-purpose yards in a season with over 2,500. It was passed off later, but he also had a receiving record as a running back with 1,027 yards. And he also led the NFC with 86 receptions that year, so quite a great 1985 season. Last one here, Fred Young, rookie. Only played 7 years, a 4-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro. He was actually traded to the Colts for their 1989 and 1990 first-round draft picks, but then he retired after the 1990 season because of injury, so that was kind of a shame. The Colts really didn't get much out of that. Bruce Hardy, I just mentioned because he's from South Jordan, Utah, which is my home state. Played at Arizona State, but he had a 12-year career with the Dolphins, 25 touchdowns, not bad for a 9th-round draft pick. And then Rulon Jones went to my alma mater of Utah State, so I want to give him a shout-out. A couple other local players, Todd Christensen and Mark Wilson, both from BYU. And then the man himself, Jim McMahon. Love that card. So anyway, that's my last one of those. So thank you for sticking with me for the history there. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to open this. And I'm hoping it's a legit pack that hasn't been tampered with. But let's go ahead and check this out. You know, potentially it's been sitting there for a long, long time, waiting to see daylight. So the first card we have here is going to be a Buccaneers team card. Whoa, here's our gum. Again, looking pretty good. Okay. Now, stickers. Hey, so you get more than one sticker, and look what I got. I got another Walter Payton yearbook sticker. That's perfect. Walter approves. And then we've got a Tommy Kramer and a John Elway. That's actually pretty cool. All right, so I'm happy with those. That's pretty nice. Now let's go ahead and see what we've got here. All right, that's pretty sweet. We've got a Dan Marino record breaker in pretty good condition considering. Then we got a Paul McFadden. And then here's that Buccaneers card, protecting the quarterback. We've got a Mark Cotney, Tom Jackson. Many of you may know him as an analyst. There's a Fred Young rookie card right there. Gerald Riggs, very talented running back in the day. Zeke Moat. Then we've got Tom Costello, Cleveland. Dennis Thurman. Doug Martin. Warren Moon, please. Oh, Carl Banks rookie card. That's not bad. Henry Marshall. Doesn't look very happy. A.J. Dewey. And our final card, Rick Carless for the Broncos. All right, so there you have it. There's our pack. Nothing major, but actually, to be honest, this Dan Marino second-year record breaker I'm pretty happy with, and the Carl Banks as well. Definitely happy to get another Payton sticker, and I think it's pretty cool to pick up this John Elway as well. All right, so anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll be back with more show and tell videos every once in a while, along with pack rips. Boombox should be coming pretty soon, so please like and subscribe if you prefer, and I'll be back with another video in the near future. Thanks, everybody.